You know what? While we're waiting, I'm just going to kind of go off the beaten path a little bit and just show you this is what we're going to be doing tomorrow. Okay? Now, if you have already downloaded Visual Studio, you will have an icon that looks like this right here. I always call it the bow tie. That's kind of what it looks like. You can get to it here if you put it on your bar down at the bottom, or you can click here and you can go all the way down to Microsoft Visual Studio. It's in here someplace. 2010, 2017. I know it's in here. It's under Visual Studio. There you go. Visual Studio 2015, and it's right there. All right, or it's underneath there. Okay. Now, when you do this, I just want to show you, because this is what we're going to do tomorrow. Don't worry about writing it down. Just kind of watch. First of all, this page comes up here, this start page. You never need to use that unless you want to. All right, so if you want to start a new project or open an existing project, you can do it from there. Does that make sense? I just tend not to. I don't know why, but I always close this, just do a file new. All right, so we'll do that tomorrow, but let's get back to where we were. All right, now I'm going to go through the rest of the chapter. I'm going to do it kind of quickly, and please don't worry about it, because the majority of the stuff that's in here we're going to do tomorrow, and it's not the kind of thing that you want to worry about memorizing. All right, so the first thing they talk about are comments, and I want to show you real quickly on here. This is not, I'm not writing code, but I just want to show you this. If I sit there and say this, int age equal 21, that's the kind of thing we're going to be doing tomorrow, okay? Don't worry if you don't know what it means. It's no big thing. But if I put in 2 forward slashes, your age. If I put in 2 forward slashes like that, everything that comes after that for the rest of the line, that's a single line comment. So everything to the right of the 2 slashes. What if I want to put it over multiple lines? If I want to do a multiple line comment, I start it with a slash star, end it with a star slash. Those of you who were in the class last semester, same way we did it in Java. All right. There's a JavaScript. There's a third kind of comment. It's an XML comment. I'm not going to even talk about that right now. It's no big thing. All right. And you can comment stuff in and out. That's no big thing. Line comment, block comment, and again, the XML comment. All right. Now, they talk here, what's going to happen when we do this tomorrow, and I want you to see this. I'm going to come in here. This will be the first thing we do tomorrow, okay? We'll go in and we'll do a file, new, project. And don't worry about all this stuff. Yours won't look exactly like this, because I've done a bunch of stuff you haven't done yet. It's no big thing. But when this gets up, and I don't know why it's taking time, it shouldn't, but it is. All right, we will choose Visual C# for the first one that we do, and then we'll choose console application. All right, and just to show you this, I'm going to just literally just throw this right onto the regular desktop. All right, and I'm going to call this just demo, because that's all it is it's a demo. All right, and I'm going to click OK. Then what's going to happen magically is this stuff gets created for me, and now on my desktop, I now have a folder on there someplace, after I close all this junk, that's called demo. I don't know where it is, but it's over here someplace. I know it's there. I'm not going to worry about it. There it is, demo. All right, and what's in it, what's shown right there is the same stuff that you see right here. But what I want to show you is this. If I want to write on the screen right now, you don't have to write this down, but this is something you're going to have to remember if you want to make your life a little bit easier for you. If I wanted to write on the screen just right now, just hello, if I wanted to do that, I would say system.console, not configuration, I'm sorry, .console .writeLine hello. All right, now, if I were to run the program right now, it's going to come like that. It's going to go on the screen and it's going to disappear. Just so you know, it's going to as soon as it shows, it'll disappear. You say, well, I don't believe you. Fine. Then I'm going to run the program for you just to show you. It ran and it said hello. Well, that's not very good because, you can't really see what's going on. So to make it stop, we don't do a system.console.writeLine. We do a system.console.readLine. So now, and you got to spell it right, of course. Now, notice that when I run this, what happens? It says hello and it stops. Does that make sense? All right. Well, if you don't want to do all this typing all the time, system.console, then up here you can type in using static system.console. All right. Once I do that, then I don't need to use the system.console dot right there. So that can save you some typing. That's all. This area that's up here, this is called the system namespace. This provides a bunch of built-in stuff that C# has that you can use for free. That's all. So you'll notice that now if I do this and save it and run it, it's going to look exactly like it did before. There's no difference, except I have less typing now. All right, so you're going to see that tomorrow. So why did I even show you that? Because that's what they show in the book, is they talk about this, and then they talk about when you do this, the using system and the using static.system.console and how you write less. If for some reason you don't want to do that, you always want to type in system.console. You can do that, but it's a waste of your time. All right? You only have to do that for programs like the one we just ran. So that is a console program. Does that make sense? Black background, white writing. When we do the GUI stuff, the graphical user interface, you don't have to add that line. Okay? Now, they go through this and they talk about compiling and executing a program. It is possible and permissible for you when you are creating programs to literally, let's say that Matthew says, you know what, I don't like Visual Studio. I think it kind of sucks. Could I just go and literally write stuff using Notepad if I wanted to? The answer is yes. If you write stuff using Notepad, then you have to compile it yourself from the command line, and you use it something like CSC or something like that. That's for C# compiler. I'm going to recommend you never do that and just forget you even read that in the book. Because the way we're going to do it, it's very graphical. It's clicking a button and it does the same thing. All right. So again, you can read that if you want to, but no biggie. Now, when you run your program, one of three things is going to happen. Did you hear me? One of three things is going to happen. So I want to show you all three. The first one is you forget a semicolon. Notice now, hopefully you can see that red squiggly? The system is letting you know there's an error in the code. All right. In fact, if I go way down here to the bottom, someplace on the bottom, I don't know why it's not showing, but it's not. I've got an error window and it would show me the error. But let's say I see that squiggly, I'm going to run it anyway. It says there were build errors. Means right now it won't work. I would suggest 100% of the time when it says, would you like to continue, say no. Because then it'll show you your error. And if you double click on the error, it'll do the best it can to even show you where the error is. All right? I mean, another way I could do this is, what if I wrote write line wrong? What if I wrote write lone? Notice I get another error. Those are compile time errors. They're errors in syntax. Okay? Well, let's look at another kind of error that you can get. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to say this. Int num1 equals 10. Int num2 equals 0. Int num3 equals num1 divided by num2. Oops, by num2. Now, a couple things when you look at this. Notice there's no errors here. All right? But when you do this, what's going to happen is 10 divided by 0 is infinity. Okay? So watch what happens when I run it. That's called a runtime error. You're doing something and the system doesn't understand what it is you're trying to do. And, I've said this before, you've heard me say it, maybe it's a bad joke, but literally, any of you who are married, or if any of you are married, arguing with computer software is like arguing with your wife. It doesn't matter if you're right, you lose anyway. And that's exactly how it works with the software. I might say, well, you should allow me to do that. All right? You can actually do that in JavaScript, but you can't do that here. Remember, in JavaScript, we use the word var. We don't use the word var here. You're going to see that starting tomorrow. All right, but that's, again, a runtime error. Okay? Now, how do I fix that? Well, I could just change that, for example, to a 10 and run the program again. And then notice I don't get any errors. Now, it's giving me that space because I still have that read line statement in there. As soon as I hit enter, it's going to do a 1, then it's going to go and leave again because I don't have another read line statement in there. All right? This is all stuff that literally within a week will be second nature to you. And I'm not just saying it, it literally will be. Now, the other type of error that you can get is, in fact, I'm going to do this. I'll make this 7. All right? And I want to say this. 10 plus 7 equals num3. All right? And I'm going to run this. Well, you all are smart enough to know that isn't correct. That's a logic error. I meant to say 10 plus 7, but instead I put in a minus. Believe it or not, that'll be the hardest type of error for you to find. As soon as you start to program, you start to get this feeling, I'm infallible. I cannot make mistakes until you do. All right? So a lot of times if you're working, not if we're having a test, but let's say, you're all working on an assignment. And Tony gets this error and he's looking at it and he's like, geez, for the life of me, I can't figure out what the problem is. He asked Jesse. It's really fun to find other people's errors. I'm serious. It really, truly is. And the good news is they'll be able to return the favor sooner or later. All right? So when you get something like that, that's a logic error. So you can have a syntax error, which is the error in the rules of the language, a runtime error, which you don't get until you run the program, and a logic error. All right? So they tell you here what to do if you receive one kind of error, what to do if you receive another type of error, and what happens when you don't receive any errors. All right, and then the chapter ends with, they have you literally type in a program that's not much different than the one I just had you type in. All right, you can go ahead and do that one, on your own if you want to, and if you don't, it's no big thing one way or the other. What I'd like you to do is hopefully you all have the book. One or two of you don't. You already told me. But what I want you to do is very quickly go through with me, starting on page 41. Let's take a look on page 41. We've got these review questions. Now, I went through the chapter quickly. So you might not know most of these. It's your book. If you want to write in there, that's your call. If you don't, and you want to write on a piece of paper, that's fine too. But I'm going to give you the answer to these 20 questions. Number 1, programming languages such as Java and Visual Basic are known as C, high-level languages. All right, meaning that they're very English-like. Okay? Number 2, a program that translates high-level programs into intermediate or machine language is known as B, a compiler. That's what a compiler does. Number 3, the grammar and spelling rules of a programming language, you actually all should know this one. The answer is C, Syntax. That's what syntax is. Number 4, a variable is, the answer is B. It's a named memory location. I would take it a step further than that. All right. What the author says is totally correct. But the reason it's called a variable is it's a named memory location whose value may vary. So you can change its value as the program is running. Why? Because it's a variable. In the next chapter, we'll also look at a constant. That cannot change its value after it's been set. Its value remains constant. Number 5, programs where you create and use objects, object-oriented. Number 6, we didn't go through any of this, but remember, an object is a blueprint. A class is a blueprint, and an object is a type of, an example of a class. So, university would be the class, Harvard would be the object. So number 6 is C. So the answers again for the first 6. Number 1 was C, number 2 was B, number 3 was C, number 4 was B, number 5 was D, number 6 was C. Everybody have those that wants them? All right. Number 7, the technique of packaging an object's attributes into a cohesive unit. All right. Number 7 is B, encapsulation. It's what I told you about before, where you hide things, basically. And again, if that still confuses you, look at it this way. I go and bring up a calculator. I type in 367, and I hit the square root key. Is there anybody in here, I'm asking, that can definitively tell me exactly how that happened? What algorithm was used to do that? With 100% certainty that you know. Because I can't. That was encapsulated from me. What I see is the interface. In other words, what I see is what the system wants to show me. That's the interface. Once I put this in and click this, that's the implementation. That's what happens behind the scenes. Remember the Wizard of Oz? That's what happened behind the curtain type of an idea. All right? Number 8, of the following languages, which is the least similar to C#? The answer is D, COBOL. Don't worry about that. We're never going to deal with that. All right, COBOL is unlike almost any other language there is. Number 9, a series of characters that appears within double quotes is known as D, a literal string. Number 10, the C# method that produces a line of output on the screen, it's WriteLine. You already saw that. Number 11, which of the following is a class? I think it's console, but I'm not even sure. All right. Number 12, in C#, a container that groups similar classes. Those were all those using statements at the top. That's called the system namespace. So number 12 is C, namespace. Number 13, every method in C# contains a header and a body. Number 14, which of the following is a method? You're going to see this tomorrow when we write our first programs. It's main, C. So number 14 is C. Number 15, which of the following statements is true? The answer is B. An identifier can contain digits. Doesn't have to, but it can contain digits. Number 16. All right, taking a look on there, the answer is A. Anybody want to guess why A would be invalid? Yes.
Spaces?
The spaces. Yeah. Very good. 17. The text you write of a program you write is called, number 17 is B, source code. Number 18, programming errors like misspelling words and incorrect punctuation. Again, that's that word again, syntax. A for number 18. Number 19, when you start it with a /* and end it with a //, whether it's one line or multiple lines, that's B, a block comment. And number 20, if you put static system.console, then you only need to say B, WriteLine. Anybody need any of those repeated? All right. Now I'm going to go into Chapter 2. You need 5 minutes first? No? Everybody's okay? All right. So let me take this.